I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a radio announcer. I'm a high school football coach. And since I was old enough to stand on the side of a stream next to my dad, I've been an angler. I've fished with bait, lures, and flies. I've fished with spinning gear, fly rods, jigging poles, and tip-ups. I've stood on ice, waded rapids, and been tossed about the deck of a boat. And I want you to love fishing, be it freshwater or salt, heavy flows, high seas, or cutting through a foot of ice, as much as I do, no matter what the quarry, no matter the tactics, no matter the chosen tackle. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman. Welcome to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop this Thursday, June 16th of 2016. Did not realize till I saw it yesterday on Twitter from the Boston Globe. It's Palindrome Week. Every date is the same, forward and backward. Today, 6/16/16 takes that to an extreme. But enough of that. We've got some serious fishing news that came in just the other day, and that is in Easton, where we've been following this South Park property, which is right on the Mill River, a very important native brook trout stream. Sacred Heart University had backed out of its proposal to buy the land. They're now back in. If you're watching the live show on Thursday, the 16th, there's a meeting tonight in Easton. You can find more information at eastoncourier.com. Their plans are for a natatorium on the site. Some of the site would be open space, some would be a field, some would be parking lot, some would be a place for competitive swimming events. I know a number of people plan to attend the meeting tonight. Follow eastoncourier.com for the latest on that. We will bring you more as that story progresses. Now, last weekend, I had an awesome time, spent the whole weekend up in New Hampshire, up at the Trout Unlimited Northeast Regional Meeting. Met a number of great people, volunteers and staff, some of them people I already knew. Met a lot of new people, learned a lot about conservation. That was a big theme of it. And a lot that is going to come in during this whole discussion of this property in Easton that is threatened by development. Would be remiss to not mention that it is Father's Day on Sunday. Happy Father's Day, Dad. This wouldn't happen if not for you, because you're the one that made me fall in love with fishing, helped me fall in love with fishing all those years ago. And one of the things we've been moan on this show is the constant talk about a loss of interest in angling, in nature, in conservation, in the real world around them among some youngsters. Well, up in New Hampshire, I got to sit down with Franklin Tate. He is the director of the Headwaters program for Trout Unlimited. A number of different efforts there to introduce kids to the environment and to angling. And let's talk to him about that. John Kovach, Yankee Fisherman. We are at Trout Unlimited's Northeast Regional. We're with Franklin Tate. Franklin is director of the Headwaters program. This is a new youth program that TU has?
Not really new. We've been adding pieces to it. The youth education's been a huge part of Trout Unlimited, for quite a number of years. And so it was branded and sort of titled Headwaters about 4 years ago. So.
And what ages is that targeted to?
It targets, probably young elementary school kids, age 4 or 5 up through college.
And what do they do? What activities do we have here?
We've got everything from classroom programs like trout and salmon in the classroom to we have camps that happen in the summertime where teenagers can learn to fly fish. We have a college program called 5 Rivers where college students found their own fly fishing clubs, underneath their university banner, and get other students involved and do really fun social events in conjunction with fly fishing trips. So.
What can local chapters do to get more young people involved in TU?
Well, I would say that if they can find some younger folks who are interested in taking on a leadership role within their chapter, that's huge, because the youth teenagers especially, they understand how other teenagers think. College students understand how other college students think and what their concerns are and what they appreciate. And so I really feel that chapters that can find one or two young leaders stand a really good chance at attracting more young people, because they kind of find the right strategies for engagement. They find the right strategies for getting other teenagers and college students involved.
And that's all it takes is one or two to get the ball rolling?
I think. I mean, especially if you put somebody on the board and they start helping you plan events, and they just everything, social media in terms of understanding how to communicate to younger people, going into a high school, talking to high school students. It's definitely a really good step. And the other thing chapters can do is obviously do events in the community that involve a young person and his or her family. So that would probably be another thing that chapters could work on.
Does the family aspect add to it and draw more people?
Definitely. I mean, in this day and age, parents are really involved in their kids' lives. They go and sit on the sidelines at every single soccer game. They are. I don't say, people say helicopter parents, but I just think parents are a lot more involved in their daughters' or sons' lives these days than they ever have been. And what we find is a lot of parents want to learn to fish themselves. They're interested in conservation. They want to know what lives in the creek. They want to come over and look at the bugs that the kids are also finding. And so it's a pretty easy transition.
It's interesting to see that, because you see exactly that at some of the events that I'm at. The parents are more into looking at the same net sampling as the kids are.
Yeah.
The parents, maybe they want to try fishing, and maybe the kids, their bridge into it. Is there a difference, and there may not be, when it's somebody like I am, where my father fished his whole life, I fished with him my whole life? Is there a difference between that dynamic and the dynamic where they're both learning at the same time, or are they both at just different stages?
It varies widely. I know a number of teenagers, especially, who got into it at the same time that their dad did, and they both learned together. And I actually think that's kind of creates kind of a cool camaraderie between the two. And sometimes you see that the kid keeps fishing and the parent gets busy and doesn't fish as much, and the kid keeps learning and excelling at it, and the father or mother can't fish quite as much. And so I would say that in my position, my viewpoint on it is let's welcome everybody at the table. Let's welcome the new parent. Let's welcome the seasoned angler parent. The big thing is just to get the young people outdoors, get them understanding why conservation work, why taking care of streams is important.
Young women are also important. We've had a session totally devoted to that.
Right.
Are you seeing more young women at the younger
levels
in Headwaters and team?
Yeah, we developed a program called Stream Girls. We ran it in Wisconsin. It's still being offered in Wisconsin. We ran it there. It's been a few years ago now, but we just partnered with Girl Scouts in South Carolina and did a Stream Girls program there. What you're finding is in Girl Scouts especially, and in some sort of after-school programs for girls, they're really looking for ways to get girls involved with science. They're looking for ways to get girls outside, getting them involved with outdoors. And then in our Five Rivers program, which is our college program, especially in the western U.S., we've got a lot of young women learning to fly fish. It's very popular. And so you're starting to see fly fishing as a sport kind of taking off with young women.
I'm glad you brought up the science, because I think it's important to get out there that while Trout Unlimited has that image of being an angling group, and a lot of us do fish. Really, just an interest in conservation. If you have a young man, a young woman with an interest in conservation, there are certainly ways that they can explore that through Trout Unlimited as well.
Well, and probably our biggest youth program is Trout in the Classroom. We have tens of thousands of kids involved in programs that Trout Unlimited helps run across the country, and they're raising steelhead, they're raising salmon, they're raising trout. That's a program that is all around STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So those kids are learning the importance of clean water, they're learning water chemistry, they're learning what's going on in their local watershed. So those kids, a lot of them will never even pick up a fly rod or tie a fly, but the trout life cycle and accessing, the importance of clean water and unimpaired streams through the trout life cycle is huge. And so you're definitely onto something that, conservation and protecting the planet. And a lot of these young people, conservation is kind of, what's that? You mean environmentalism? So they really they see themselves more as an environmentalist. Conservation is a term that you don't hear them using as much, and so yeah.
You never hear ecology. Which
You don't hear ecology much,
you never hear that word
no,
anymore.
no. They talk about environmentalism. They talk about saving the planet, and learning what organisms need to survive and thrive. It's a great program for Trout in the Class, for Trout Unlimited. So.
And it brings all of the curricula together. I mean, you mentioned
does,
it as a
yeah.
STEM, but really there's even more than STEM
Art,
can be brought in.
Yeah, art, writing, photography, math, local history, music. I mean, they use it. Teachers use it for all manner of things. And so it starts with STEM, but a really talented teacher can take it a lot of different directions.
But it's life lessons.
It's life lessons, right.
It really is.
Yeah.
Jeff, how important is it to get younger people involved through programs like Headwaters?
It's essential to the survival of not only our organization of Trout Unlimited, which is a national conservation organization, but also to the health of our local streams. We all live and care about the rivers and the lands in our communities, but the truth of the matter is we've degraded them over 300 years. And to protect them and restore them to what we need them to become, to be that healthy, ecological, healthy, beneficial economically and aesthetically to our communities, is going to take a long time. Aldo Leopold often says when you're thinking about landscape style change, it's important to think like a mountain. And that's true of conservation work, of work to protect rivers, to restore lands, is that it takes hundreds of years. And without bringing in the youth, we're creating an effort where it won't be sustainable. So that next generation is going to carry the torch forward. So with Trout Unlimited, as you mentioned, the Headwaters Youth Program, the goal of that program is to engage, I'll say early and often, kids in conservation, in cold water conservation, in protecting rivers, in protecting clean water, restoring trout habitat, learning more than anything about how to become a good citizen, a good environmental steward. And so starting from elementary school with programs like Trout in the Classroom, through high school with trout camps and things of that nature, all the way up through college with our Five Rivers program that allows kids to become true leaders in conservation. It provides opportunities of youth of all ages to really get that first taste of what it means to care for the land and the waters in your community, in your world. Your community could be as small as your town or as large as your state or country even. So,
How can a parent or an interested young person find out about the Headwaters and the TU programs for youths?
Well, they can go to our website. They can go to tu.org/headwaters. That's our website. They can also see if there's a local chapter. There's a chapter finder on the website as well at tu.org. Get in touch with their local chapter, see what their chapter's doing. I would say poke around the website, get in touch with me. I'm ftate@tu.org. Pretty easy, Franklin Tate, ftate@tu.org. If they're looking for opportunities, we do leadership summits. We have a lot of camps in the summertime. And so, there's a lot of stuff to do.
Thanks to Franklin Tate and Jeff Yates of Trout Unlimited for sharing with us some of their efforts to get youths involved. When we come back, we're going to visit Greenwich and look at a way that we're helping the next generation of migrating fish. That on Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Mosquitoes, ticks, gone. Guaranteed. That's what Mosquito Squad guarantees as America's most trusted mosquito and tick control company. Locally owned and operated, over 90,000 homes have been protected by Mosquito Squad using their dual protection method for season-long protection, which includes barrier spray service for eliminating mosquitoes and adult ticks, as well as supplemental programs to increase tick control. They use only USDA organic options, which are safe and non-toxic. Contact them today at www.squadctny.com or 203-893-4309. Mosquito Squad. No bugs, no bites, no kidding.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop, this Thursday, June 16th. So World Fish Migration Day was a couple of weeks ago. There were a number of events about it. I got to one, and it's one of those places, there are places that hide in plain sight, and this is one of them. It's a fish ladder in Greenwich that I never knew was there, but yet it's minutes from the highway, it's within eyesight of the post road, and it's helped fish get past a barrier for a few years. Let's go to the Mianus Fish Ladder.
The dam was put in the early 1900s, and it was erected to provide fresh water for the Kovach power station. And what this did was they provided water here, collected in this pump station, and it was shipped to the Kovach railroad station, where they had their first coal-fired power station. So it was a coal-fired electric generation plant for the railroad.
And like so many dams that remain historically, they just became a barrier to fish migration and little else?
Yeah, so one of the things that happened here was it became a barrier for fish migration. The fish we have here are river herring. So we have river herring that are fish that what we call anadromous fish. They spend their adult life in the salt water, and then they have to come up into fresh water to spawn, very similar to most people are familiar with salmon. So they do that, and so it creates a barrier. The interesting thing about this particular dam, though, is that alewives, which are one of the river herring that use this fishway, actually like pond habitat. So it creates all of this pond habitat, so it's actually excellent habitat for the fish.
So once they come up the ladder, they're happy.
They're happy. So they just want to get from salt water or brackish water here, because it's where fresh water and salt water meet, and then they come up. And so if you look at the fishway, it's like an artificial stream. So they're just trying to get up into that fresh water, and they go up this artificial stream and get into the pond, and then that's where they'll spawn.
So they find there's a way into it for them, and they work up against the current?
Yeah, against the current.
Which is instinctive to them.
Which is instinctive. So they're looking at that fresh water, they get the smell of that fresh water, and particularly when we have a lot of rain, and to get that spring freshet, they're looking for that fresh water coming down, they're coming in from the salt water, and they're looking for the fresh water to come back up.
This is an open house for World Fish Migration Day. You said you do a couple a year usually?
Okay, so today happens to be World Fish Migration Day, so we're doing one of our open houses on this day, as well as there's some other open houses across the state. The state of Connecticut has some different ones at different places, but we usually hold 2 open houses here on the Mianus. Usually do one either the end of March, early April, and then we'll do one in May.
Now, other than the alewives that we talked about, what other andromatous fish will make their way up the ladder?
Okay, so the anadromous fish that come up, we have 2 kinds of river herring. One is the alewife, the other one is the blueback herring. And actually today, if we see fish, we're hoping we'll see some. We haven't had a good run today yet, but hopefully we'll see some. We'll have blueback herring. So they're both a river herring that come in. There's the potential for C1 brown trout to use this fishway. They usually come up in the fall. One of the things that's really important though is, like, you know, a lot of times we look at the big species like salmon or whatever, but the river herring are really, really important species. We call them a keystone species, and keystone species means they're really important in the ecosystem. Everything eats these. So if you're a bluefish fisherman, if you're a striped bass fisherman, everything eats these. They come up into freshwater, then, you know, other types of the freshwater bass will eat them. Besides the bass, we've got the egrets, we've got osprey, we've got otter, river otter that use this fishway.
Oh, it must be like a all-you-can-eat buffet for the birds and the otters, etc.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And one of the things that does happen is they tend to come up in very big schools. So there'll be a day where we might not see any fish. The next day we could have 1,000, 2,000 fish go up. The biggest count we've ever had in this fishway is around 15,000 fish in one day.
One day?
Yes. And for a year we've had up to 150,000 fish go up. This year we're only in the round of 15,000 for the whole total for the year, so we're really down in terms of the numbers of fish we usually see here. And that's happening across the state. They're not quite sure why the numbers are down with the river herring, but it's a challenge for us. And hopefully the numbers, you know, it's one blip in the ecosystem, so hopefully we'll get some good numbers next year if we don't see more fish come in this year.
And there's a new, this year I think, a lot more of a focus on forage fish and their importance. There's been a lot more discussion of it.
Yeah, I think people are understanding that, you know, a lot of times there's a lot of focus on the fish, whether it be fish or mammals or whatever that are at the top of the food chain. And people need to realize that all of these other fish are really important. And like I said, the forage fish are the keystone species. Everything eats them. The ecosystem basically, you know, could collapse in a way in terms of, you know, your numbers of striped bass will go down, your numbers of bluefish will go down, you know, when you don't have these kind of fish. So
now, before this fishway was built in 1993, really, this was the end of the road for the fish trying to migrate?
Yes, this was the end of the road. So one of the things that was interesting is when they first put the dam in, the fishermen used to come, and they would, so all, you know, when you have, like, let's say 10,000 fish coming in a day, they used to just pick them up, and what the fishermen have told me is that they could just basically walk across the river on the backs of the fish. There were so many fish, and they would just get trapped here. They used to collect them by the barrelful because they were something that people pickled and used as a staple food source, but they also were putting the fish back into the pond. So they knew that the fish needed to get up into the pond to spawn. So they actually helped maintain the run for a long time. And then the other piece of that is that there are some years where we get a lot of rain in the spring. So we think at the bottom of the dam, in the years that there was a lot of rain, that they were able to populate at least a little bit. As soon as we put this fishway in, we started having fish use it. So we know that they were still around and whatever. It took a few years for their numbers to come up, but we've had some really, really good years with that.
Also, I heard eels are using this.
Yeah, so eels are kind of interesting, and we can get a shot of the eels. The eels are what we call American eels. They're opposite of what the river herring do. They're called catadromous fish. And catadromous fish lead their adult lives in fresh water, and then they go out to salt water to spawn. And actually all the eels here, the American eels, all go to one place. They all go down to the Bermuda area with the Sargasso Sea, and that's where all the eels spawn. So when they come back in here, they're only little what we call elvers, only a couple of inches long, and that's what we're seeing right now coming in.
And they'll live up here in the pond, and then when the time is right, go back out.
Yeah, usually they're here 5, 7, maybe maybe 10 years, and then they go back out.
Denise, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. At the Language School in Ridgefield, we teach practical language for real life, tailored to your professional needs or those of your children. Offering more than a dozen languages, the school specializes in creating customized classes for businesses, government agencies, and healthcare professionals in Fairfield and Westchester counties. Native speakers from around the world will instruct students of all ages in the language and the culture using a hands-on method. Find out more about what makes us different at thelanguageschoolglobal.com or call us at 203-241-7010.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure every Thursday at 2 on the HAN network.
What's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State?
Join Kate Chaplinsky
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN network.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday right here on the HAN network.
You're watching the HAN network, and you're not alone. Nearly 1 million people have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment programming since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop. Fascinating, that fish ladder. And just how helpful it is and how the fish know how to find it. That was a really great visit. I want to do that again. I want to see it when the fish are actually using the channels there. What place they're hoping to see fish this weekend is at the Nichols Improvement Association, when they hold a fishing extravaganza. That is on their grounds at 1773 Huntington Turnpike in Trumbull. That is Saturday. Check in at 10:30. Fish from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Awards and raffles at 2. $15 cost to cover the expense of stocking the pond. Licenses are required if you're 16 or older, and they can be purchased at bait and tackle shops, online. All children must be accompanied by a license-carrying adult, and you can register in advance at niatrumbull.org. Now, if you don't want to pay for a fishing license, Sunday is one of the 2 free fishing license days in Connecticut. State set this up. They had a free fishing day a few weeks ago. This is the free fishing license day. You have to go on and register to do this. You have to have that slip. It's a way of them gauging interest in this. One is Sunday, Father's Day. The next free fishing license day is August 13th. They're available on the DEEP site. Last year, they had more than 1,000 people, 1,034 to be exact, take advantage of this. You can learn more at the DEEP website and at their Facebook page. Up in Rhode Island, the Narragansett chapter of Trout Unlimited is going to discuss the Hexagenia hatch and safety precautions for fishing at dusk and twilight hours. That is on June 29th at the Deer Check Station on Route 165, 10 Rod Road in Exeter. Networking at 5, food at 5:30, meeting around 6. You can get information from Ron Marfatti, 401-463-6162. That's going to do it for this week's Yankee Fisherman. We've got a lot going on. We're going to talk to some high school fishermen. We're going to talk a lot of conservation, surf casting, kayak fishing. Too much to talk about in the time I've got left. We'll be back next Thursday at 1 with another edition of Yankee Fisherman, presented by the Dock Shop on the HAN Network. Till then, tight lines.